Hey folks, welcome to another day, another unboxing. This is the LG Wing, the crazy rotating screen smartphone. So let's unbox this together. You can see here, a little Verizon logo action. Yes, this is the Verizon unit, LG. It's interesting that the box is still white. It says Qualcomm because it's Snapdragon 765. Some information is in the back. Here's what the package contains. And there's some iMails on the other side, so I'm going to skip that. So let's open it up. Dun, 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 dun. Nothing in here. Here is the phone, all 260 grams of it. Honestly, doesn't feel that heavy. If you've ever used a Galaxy Note 20 Ultra or something like that, you won't really notice. And then here is a little thing that says the LG second year promise. I'll leave that up for you guys to read. And then we've got a little divider here with some stuff in it, presumably. Let's have a look what's inside, shall we? All right, documentation, and apparently that's a SIM removal tool. So we've got Meet Your Phone. I presume that's like a little manual to get us started. Ooh, in color. You see the pop-up selfie camera here, triple rear camera system. I'll get through all the details in a minute. Not too much in the back. Now there is consumer safety stuff, nobody cares. Warranty stuff, nobody cares. Nothing else in this little box, but we have a charger here, so let's get that out. It says fast charge USB certified. So then we've got a cable here, so let's have a look at that. USB Type-C to Type-C, you can see that clearly. No surprises, and then I'm not sure what this is. Let's find out. So looks like, a headphone jack adapter. There's no headphone jack on this phone because, well, LG always has headphone jack. So this is a USB Type-C to 3.5 millimeter adapter. I'm not sure if it's an analog dongle or a digital one. That's it. So let's have a look at the phone because I'm super excited about the phone personally. So let's see if I can just slide it out. Apparently I can. So that's exciting. And then here we go. Ooh, you just have to use two hands to close this. Anyway, let's turn it on. Oh yeah, LG Wing. So this looks like the same display that we're familiar with from the LG Velvet. It's a 6.8 inch AMOLED panel, 60 Hertz, 1080p. It does have these curved edges here, as you can see. So I'm pretty confident this is the same display we see on the LG Velvet. It's a pretty decent display. I'm not a big fan of the curved edges. You can already see the contrast and brightness issues on the edges there. So anyway, it's setting up. I'm not sure if this has been set up already. Apparently not. So I'm not going to set it up on screen. You know that I don't do this on my unboxing. You'll have to stay tuned for my thoughts on the podcast. And so let's see what happens when I try to flip it open. Yeah, we don't get anything in the second display down here, but you can see that second display. So I'll have to show you that when I do another video for reviewing this phone. But let me walk you through some of the specs real quick. So I talked about the display. There is a pop-up selfie camera. I can't pop it up until I turn it on, but you can see it right up there. That is a 32 megapixel f/1.9, 0.8 micron camera. Obviously you can't see this, but there is an in-display fingerprint sensor under here as well, as you'd expect. And under the hood here, there's a Snapdragon 765G with 8 gigs of RAM and either 128 gigs or 256 gigs of storage. Then there is a 4,000 milliamp hour battery, which is kind of okay, I suppose. Of course, it's a 5G phone. It does millimeter wave and sub-6 for Verizon because Verizon now has sub-6. I'm not in a 5G area, as you can see here, because it says 4G LTE. But yeah, that's basically the guts of this. Now, let me talk about the cameras in the back here. So there's 3 cameras. They're a little interesting. There's a 64 megapixel main sensor. It's f/1.8 with 0.8 micron pixels and OIS. I'm not sure which one of the 3 it is. And the same sensor we've seen on some other LG phones, like maybe the V60. And then there's 2 ultra wides. So one is 12 megapixel, one is 13. And one is basically landscape, so you use it like that. And the other one is portrait, so you use it like that. Because with the screen open, this thing can turn into a gimbal system. And so the bottom screen, which is not lit up right now, would show you the controls for the gimbal. And I'll show you this on another video, and I'll tell you more about it on the podcast. So 2 ultra wides, 13 megapixel, 1 micron pixels, f of 1.9, that's nice and fast. And a 12 megapixel, 1.4 micron, also big pixels, f over 2.2. No other cameras in terms of telephoto or anything like that. So that's the layout. I mentioned earlier that it's got 128 or 256 gigs of storage, but what I didn't tell you is that there is a micro SD option. So you can add more storage to this phone, which is great. Also has wireless charging, which is nice. By the way, I just want to point out to you that the back here is really interesting. It's got this kind of cool pattern. And then there's a little hole here because the earpiece is actually here. You see, it's here. And when this closes, the earpiece comes through this tiny little slit right there. So it's pretty clever how they did that. There's no other way for them to really do that. So, and while it's not water resistant, it is splash proof, IP54 rated. So I wouldn't test this out. Now the second display, by the way, I didn't mention too much about it because you can't light it up right now without setting up the phone, but it's a 3.9 inches OLED as well. It is 1080p by 1240. So it's basically almost square, pretty much, what you'd expect. Basically a slightly smaller version of this front screen. By the way, here's some of the other parts you can see up here. There's like some kind of mirror finish there. All right, so let me walk you through the edges. On the right-hand side, we've got a volume rocker and a power lock key, some antenna bands, and on the bottom you have a speaker and a microphone as well as USB Type-C. Then on the left-hand side here is the SIM tray with micro SD support. And on top you get the pop-up camera, secondary microphone. Now, the thing that's interesting is no headphone jack, and this only has mono speaker, which is a little unfortunate. But so yeah, that's the layout of the LG Wing, $999 on Verizon, exclusive for the US right now. It's a lot of money, but you're getting a really unique phone, right? Like, I mean, this is special. And whether it's useful or not, I don't know. I need to try this out. There are some built-in apps that work with this, so I'll have to try that out. But, other than that, it's nice to see a phone that, yes, you can use like a regular phone, but it has this nice trick. And it's also nice to see a company that's trying something new and different. Form factors are no longer very fun. So it's really nice to see LG trying something new. So I'm super stoked. I'm going to try this out, put it through its paces. You should subscribe to the channel, like this video, tell your friends, comment in the comments below, click the notification bell. Would you buy this phone? If money was no object, obviously it's not a cheap phone, but would you buy this phone? Would you get something crazy like that? Especially if you're somebody who upgrades phones like every 6 months or a year. Would you want to rock something very unique and different? And on Verizon, this thing's going to be cool because it's going to support sub-6 and millimeter wave. So if you're in millimeter wave area, you actually can get some pretty fast speeds. I know it's not super useful, but it's kind of a nice thing to have like a kind of a phone that goes a little beyond what's normal today, basically. You should also know that this is a complement, this channel, to the Mobile Tech Podcast, the actual audio show. You should subscribe to the podcast at mobiletechpodcast.com. We're also on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, and Spotify. Please do that. Join and subscribe. And that's it, folks. I'll be back with more unboxing videos soon. Stay tuned for more. Cheers, everybody.